Okay, jumping back into the dating pool after divorce or even death, it comes with its own set of challenges, that's for sure. So we have local professional matchmaker Gina Marciniak from It's Just Lunch here with some tips. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
It's just lunch, right? I think that has something to do with, I'm assuming, the whole idea of people getting into dating and being scared. It's just lunch.
It's just lunch, yes. It's just a date, just like that.
You have to think of it that way. And I'm sure when people go through a really rough divorce or even a death of a spouse, the last thing they want to do is get back into the dating game.
Right, it's difficult. It can be very difficult. It's rough. It's a rough world out there, and they're scared, and it can be a painful process. But if you just take the advice of people and you take your time and you wait until you're ready, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
That's a good point you make. How does someone know when they're ready?
You are the only one that will know. So my advice to people is, there's no set rule of thumb when you're ready. It's not a timeline. It's more of a healing process that you have to go through. You must go through that, whether it's a divorce that we're dealing with or whether it's a loss of a spouse. You have to go through your timeline, your healing process first. When you're ready, you'll know it. That's when you should begin.
And I'm sure there are people who think that they might be ready, go on a date, and then realize maybe they're not ready, but then they beat themselves up about it. And they probably, I mean, I'm not an expert, you are, but I would assume that they shouldn't beat themselves up over that.
They shouldn't. They really shouldn't. I mean, it's if they've tried it and they felt like they're ready and they really feel like they're not, maybe they shouldn't. Just back it off a little. But I do have some advice. I have some tips for people that feel like they are ready.
Let's lay them out there because that's what people want to hear. What are the tips?
My very first tip, you need to be optimistic. I have never, in my decade of experience as a professional matchmaker that's just lunch, I've never had anybody come back to me with feedback and say, oh, they were so negative. I had a great time with them. I'm definitely going to call them again. It doesn't work like that.
No, they probably run out the door and say, that was a waste of my time.
Right. You have to be optimistic, put on a smile and have a good time. That is the most attractive feature that I hear about people. It's sexy. Optimism is sexy. Positive vibes.
Yes. Okay, so that's tip number one.
Tip number two, you need to be you need to give chemistry a chance. I think that's really, really important. And what I mean by that is you just can't be too selective and too picky with things. You have to...
You give people a second chance, say, after a first date.
Yeah,
what if your first date doesn't go that well and you think, should you give them a second chance?
You should, absolutely. You're not going to... What I'm trying to say here is you're comparing things to your former partner, and it's not the right way. This is a different person in front of you. You want to give that person an opportunity. You're not going to know enough about them in 2 hours after a first date. Go on a second date. Give them a chance. If they don't have the characteristics that you're looking for, it's like, so what if they're an inch shorter than what you're looking for? Not every person, it's really likely not every person out there they're going to match every single must-have on your checkbox, on your list.
I always thought as a younger girl, like, my husband is going to be a dream. Everything about him is going to be perfect because I'm just going to wait for that. But there's always going to probably be something in your significant other that irks you, and you have to accept that, right? No one's perfect. No one's perfect.
Really just take a step back. I mean, if you've gone through a divorce or if you're a widow or widower, take a step back, analyze and think, I mean, is this really something I can live with? Is it really that important to me? Does it matter if they have blonde hair or brown hair? Does it matter if they're 6 feet tall or 5'11"? Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about the person, what values, what's their solid moral core, those are the things. It's their foundation. That's what's really important.
See, we could talk forever about
this. We could.
So we only had 2 tips. I'm sure you have plenty more.
Oh, yes.
But I'm getting the wrap. So the best thing to do is to get in contact with you.
Yes.
And you have your location that's in Independence
as
well.
Independence. And it's just
website?
Website, www.itsjustLunchCleveland.com.
How many tips would you say you have total?
Oh, I had lots.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm saying. So if you need a little bit of a push, you need someone to really help guide you, give her a call.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here.